Hey everybody, my name's Lekesha from California, and this is my story of prayer. Several years ago, I was in a season of my life where my faith was tested. Everything seemed to have crumbled all around me, suffering from oppression, suffering from financial loss, and just feeling despondent and not having anything to fall back on. I remember seeking God for a word, any word. I've never been one to search after prophets or anything like that, but at this point in my life, I was desperate. I was desperate to hear a word from the Lord, desperate to hear a solution, desperate to be rescued, desperate to be delivered out of my situation. And at that point in my life, God wanted to make sure that I had enough faith in Him to trust Him, to believe in Him, and to rest in Him. And I remember going to people who I confided in. I remember going to my pastor's wife, going to my spiritual mothers, going to people whom I trusted in that I knew were able to hear a word from the Lord. They never had anything direct for me. So I had no choice but to pray, but to fast. Financially, everything dried up. I was in a position to where I was faced to have to move out of my home and contemplating moving to a different state. Initially, the thought was, okay, moving to another state will be better. You know, the way of life is slower, it'll be cheaper, whatever. There were many reasons why I could have gone on that route, but I prayed. And when I prayed, that was the first time that I had heard the Lord answer back. And in that, He simply said, no, this is not the time. This is not the place. This is not where I want you to go. This is not the direction that I want you to go in. And despite all of the other efforts that I made, God still said no. And I was okay with that. There was a peace that came along with His response. And as a result, I had the confidence and the trust and faith that I had heard from the Lord. As I began to share with others that I had heard from God and He said no, initially it was rough because people didn't understand. You know, I was ridiculed, I was talked about, but I was confident that I heard the Lord. And as a result, He just began to turn things around for me. When I said that everything dried up, I didn't have a place to stay. We had to move out of one place and was looking for another. And at the time, it was a bit scary, but God opened up a door. And before you know it, I got a phone call out of the blue offering me a job that I did not apply for a former company that I worked for. Out of the blue, I said, okay, this is great. So me trying to do the right thing, saying, oh, well, let me talk to my husband and I'll get back to you. Well, I missed that deadline. I missed it by perhaps an hour. So when I called the lady back, she says, oh, I'm sorry, you're too late. I've already passed up your application, so I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Within minutes, this lady called me back and said, you know, I just feel like I need to have you come in and start the process. She ended up offering me this job, and I knew that was an open door straight from the Lord. Not only that, but God also answered my prayer to where we were going to live. I had already prayed and told God the specifics, you know, where I wanted to live, you know, didn't want to go too far, didn't want to commute, didn't want to change my phone number, my home phone number. Yeah, I know that's pretty specific. But nevertheless, gave God my request, went on Craigslist, saw a home that was up for lease. It was listed just within the range that I was looking for. Everything was perfect. It was exactly what I was praying for. And so I tried to reach out to the person didn't get an answer. I asked my husband to call. So he tried, no response. A couple of days went by, the listing disappeared off of Craigslist. Just a few days later, something just within me said, go back and check again. Lo and behold, go back to Craigslist and there's the listing again. So we immediately jump on it. My husband calls the contact person, and he's like, well, I believe the owner, she's already met with somebody and given them their deposit, accepted the deposit from them, but I'll give her a message. And so next thing you know, we receive a phone call from the owner, and she says, well, I've already talked to a family, but you guys can come take a look at it if you want. So we hurried up, went to the property and met with the owner. She gave us a walkthrough, a tour of the house, and everything was perfect. It was exactly what I had been praying for. And at the end of the tour, as we were about to leave, she says, I just feel like there's something about you guys. I just feel like I have to let you have this lease. She says, you know what? That's it. I'm just going to do it. I just feel like you guys have to have this lease. I'm just going to give the other people, I'm just going to give them their deposit back. What? Really? Jesus? Okay. So, of course, we accepted. And to God be the glory, we were able to successfully lease from this woman for a couple of years. And a couple of years in, she reaches out to us and says, you know what, I'm downsizing and I'm considering selling the property, and I just wanted to offer it to you first. What? Jesus? Okay. So not only did God provide us shelter at the time when we needed it most, but he also provided for us that we were able to own. So we have been currently living in this home for nearly 10 years. And I tell you, the grace of God is just so amazing. And what I've learned from these experiences is that we can never give up on God. Every promise, every word that he has spoken over us shall and will come to pass. But most importantly, prayer is important. And I learned that when it comes to prayer, I have to go to God for myself. I have to go to God on my own, and that's all he's waiting for. He's only waiting to hear the cries, hear the petitions of his children. And me, I am a daughter of the King, and that's all he wants to hear from me is my voice, my words, my cries unto him. And I've learned that prayer is my most effective tool. That's the key, is prayer. And so I pray that this has blessed you. I pray that this encourages someone to never give up on God, because he will never give up on you. God bless.